Egypt managed to get the job done then, didn't they, Kai, in the second half? It was going all so nicely for my New Zealanders in the first half, but Egypt came roaring back. What change did you see in the first 45 minutes to the second period?
I almost got up to celebrate, but I'm like, I shouldn't do that.
There'll be time for that later.
I shouldn't do that because Darren Beasley was my former manager, my former coach at Colorado Rapids.
He'll be straight on the phone.
Yes. So he's going to be upset that I didn't pick his squad to win, by 3-1. But what I saw from Egypt in the second half and what I expected, you can see it, you can believe it from their possessions and their movement going forward that they wanted the game more than New Zealand. New Zealand did really well staying behind the ball, but the farther they got or the closer they got to their goal defending gave Egypt that extra belief that, we can get this. And you can see after the first goal happened, Egypt, everybody's getting the players back into the center, say, let's go, let's go, let's go. We have another goal to get into this game. And that's the belief that you can see. I mean, everybody wants to see it. All the Egyptians wants to see it. Everybody around the continent of Africa wants to see Mo Salah get that goal. And it's a relief. It's a relief to him, a relief to the team, and to put the team in the position that they're in right now. It was a really good second half for them to go into that.
We'll talk about Salah a little bit more later, Michael, but this was Egypt, for me, announcing themselves at this World Cup. It took a bit of a while for them to get going, but they're here now.
Yeah, it's a historic moment. It's a milestone moment. It's their first ever win at a World Cup. And you think of what that means for a team that were the kings of the continent. The Egyptian national team have owned the African Cup of Nations. They have for a long time. Maybe you could say that Senegal is that team now. But back when we were playing, Egypt was the big team that had this vice grip on African football. Now you get a different reference point when you get to the World Cup. And so for Mohamed Salah and Egypt to be pining after getting those magic words, Egypt 3 points, and now even bigger words, Egypt top of the group, are you kidding me? And Kai, I want to go back to something you said about it being a tale of two halves. In the first half, it was very static. I thought you had Mohamed Salah, who was a ghost. I thought he looked predictable. Omar Marmoush looked predictable. And they were just standing next to each other, pretty much high-fiving and trying to find space. In the second half, though, you saw a bit of tactical acumen and good coaching from Hossein Hassan. I think he deserves a lot of credit for this. The players went out and executed his plan. And two players I thought rose to the occasion. Mohamed Salah will get the praise. But when you look at Imam Ashour and Mustafa Ziko, they really started combining and connecting and having this free role. I think an Egyptian side that looks more dynamic takes the pressure off Mohamed Salah and Marmoush to come up with the goods all the time. You saw a player like Ziko step up, and a player who he only made his debut back in May, Adam. May. That's 3 goals now he scored in his last 4 matches. It's insane.
What does it mean, Kai, for such a proud footballing nation in Africa as Egypt to actually record their first World Cup win? What does this take the handbrake off? How do you think that will impact fans of football in the country?
I think it's really good. Like Michael just mentioned, they got this 3 points that sets them apart from everybody else in that group. Now there are 4 points there. But for them and for Mo Salah, again, with his legacy and everything, Egyptians were always top of Africa. I know now we're talking about the Senegals, and for example, we might add Morocco into that. They're going to say, hey, you can't take us out of that equation. But for Egypt to be at this point right now, maybe the last tournament for Mo Salah, and getting this win, I think it's really good for the nation, and it's really good for just the continent, period.
I'm going to ask you both this question. Where do you think Mo Salah ranks in terms of all-time African players? And I'm including all positions here, so this isn't just a striker, so we're making it pretty broad. I'll start with you, Michael.
Yeah, because I won't get it.
Yeah, you're shaking. You're shaking your head. So
Look,
I'll give you a second to think about it.
I'm a big Mohamed Salah fan. I'll start at the club level because that has a big impact on how we view African players. I think African players are starting to get more respect with what they do at the national team level. But at the club level, for me, he's Liverpool's greatest ever player. I think what he's done to take Liverpool to go from the team that had the miracle of Istanbul, he's made them perennial, just Premier League giants. They are the biggest club in England right now, in my opinion, still. What they've done to get the Premier League trophy, the Champions League trophies, he has put Liverpool back on a global map, not just an English map. But for African football, I think at the international level, Mohamed Salah, I think people are still wanting to see him get over the line. When you look at the difference between him and Sadio Mane, he's lost to Mane in finals. And so how you can push yourself, and for Salah, I put him top 5. I don't put him top 3. If you can get Egypt into the knockout round and Egypt makes some sort of Cinderella run, then we're having a different conversation for me, because that's what the greats truly do. Mohamed Salah, at his age, I think he's maybe 34 now, he could have a swan song the likes of Roger Milla in 1990. That's how significant this World Cup is for him. It's his last international tournament, and I don't care what's happened at Liverpool, but the inspiration that he's been to the Egyptian national team, so many of these players look up to him. He's a role model. He's an icon. And we saw it just when Egypt needed that moment of inspiration. I mentioned Zico, I mentioned Ashore, but it's Mohamed Salah that has the big nose for the big moment, and he smells blood in the water. He's a killer in the box, and I'm just so happy for him.
I think Michael has said enough to put Mohamed Salah top 5 around Africa. Man, a lot of credit to all the other heroes and legends and role models that we grew up, watching in Africa and watching them, make it to the biggest stage. And when you're talking about, the George Weah, you're talking about the Wanko Kanus and all these guys. I mean, it's amazing. But Mohamed Salah, Drogba as well, which it's the king. It's different, But Mohamed Salah, for me, I think it helps a lot that he's coming from Egypt also. Because, Egypt has had their history in football. They've had their history around, and they've dominated Africa and the AFCON and all these things. But Mohamed Salah taking the country into the World Cup and going back into this World Cup, and all of us want him to break that record for his nation. That's one thing. Top 5, yes, I see him in the top 5. I would love to see his involvement more around the continent of Africa and not just inside of Egypt. So more people can feel that impact, from Mo, so that your legacy doesn't just stay in Egypt or stays in Liverpool, but like travel around Africa so you can share that around, because people really do worship him all over.
Absolutely, and with that goal, he is slowly climbing up the all-time scorers list in terms of Egyptians in world football. And look at the man he's just won behind. Yeah. His coach for Egypt, Hossam Hassan. Maybe that's why I took him off at the end. Didn't want him scoring another goal. Mo Salah moves to 68. He's quite a long way above the third-placed Hassan El Shazli back there on 49 goals. You would think that Salah's going to overtake him, might do it at this World Cup. Now, football is a game, as we know, guys, where sometimes you got to eat humble pie, haven't you? Sometimes you make a call and you get it wrong. And I'll happily admit that earlier I got it wrong. Let's have a look what we said. Out my Kiwis at your peril. What did I tell you before the game? Not exactly vintage World Cup football necessarily from these two, Kai, but so fair. I think New Zealand worthy winners.
If you're talking about New Zealand, hold on,
don't let them get. We're watching the same game.
If you're talking about New Zealand jumping over someone, I just saw Sermon jumped over everyone. What a beautiful header! I'm not picking their side still. I'm still sticking with Egypt because I did predict 3-1. So New Zealand's got that 1 goal in.
And I'm not great at maths, but I'm pretty sure it ended in 3-1. The king.
Is that my crown?
And that's why.
Can I crown myself right now?
And Kai Cameron, that's why they don't let me sit here on my own. They hire experts and don't let the idiots make predictions.
Adam, I'll tell you, it wasn't the same thing yesterday. So I learned from, you learn from before. And that's the thing about having veterans, I don't want to say older players in the locker room, right? We can't call people old anymore.
Ages.
Having, veterans inside the locker room. So in this locker room, I'll be that veteran.
I'll try again tomorrow. You're back tomorrow, so I'm going to try again.